Whew. Winter's here, boys. Cows are not quite in, but they're on the way in, so winter's nearly here. And Whistle Watch is back. A big welcome back to you all to Whistle Watch. We'll be looking at the Women's Rugby World Cup, some exciting games there, a little bit of discipline to talk about as well. Looking forward to tell you who are my ones to watch, and also as well, my favourite bit, answering your Emirates fans' questions. So let's start with them. I'm looking forward to this, so let's start. Doc Ailes at Aildeen DS16. Oh, what a name that is. During a scrum, does the number 8 have to stay at the back, or can it join the 6 or 7 after the ball has been put in? Nah, then good question. The number 8 can position itself in two places in the scrum. One is the normal number 8 position, so between the two flankers or between the two second rows, fully bound. Or it can position himself or herself between the flanker and the second row on either side of the scrum. But this is the key. If you want to position yourself between the flanker and the second row, or any of those positions, you must do so or change your position before the ball is put in. So once the ball is put into the scrum, you can no longer then move from your traditional number 8 position and go to where the 6 and 7 is. If you want to do that, you must do it before the scrum begins, because if you do it afterwards, you're technically then breaking your bind, which means you can't do until the scrum is over, and it becomes a penalty offence. And what you will see happen, referees tend to manage it. So if they see that happening, they'll have a word with the number 8 and tell them, look, if you want to be in that position, you need to do it before the scrum starts, not after. Karel Vorderman at Karel Vorder, oh, one of my favourites. Rugby reffing legend, oh, thank you, Karel. Nigel Owens, to be in charge at the House of Commons, question mark. We can but dream. Oh, well, I tell you one thing, they'd probably be down to an empty house by halfway through the sitting, because half of them would be in the bin and a lot of them would have been sent off. But do you know what? I fancy giving that a go. Mark Page at M Page Mapas. Is Adam Leal the fastest referee in the game? Oh, he is fast, isn't he? Very, very fast. When I was refereeing, the fastest in our group was John Lacey, because he used to play full back and winger for Munster as a professional rugby player back in his days. And he always reminded us he was the fastest. So I tell you one thing, Adam Leal is up there, I think, could well be the fastest. Now there's a challenge, all the referees have a race, see which one of you is the fastest. Jimmy Reynolds, sounds like a Hollywood TV star or something like that, doesn't it? Jimmy Reynolds, good name. What do I need to do to watch a game at the next World Cup with you and Squidge? Well, I suppose you need to be at the game when me and Squidge are at as well, and then you can sit in between us. I'll let you know what game it is. To Tapper Roberts, Nigel mate, you're just as good as presenter as you were a ref. I bet you could play too. Oh no, I was bloody hopeless. I played full back. Played with my first 15 in school only because I played with the first 15 because we didn't have a second 15 and we were short in numbers. And we were playing a game and I called for a mark from a high ball, and I stood here, cried, "Mark!" and the ball landed about 5 yards away. I wasn't a very good fullback. I was a right attacking, but defence, hopeless. That's all the questions for this week. Thank you very much. Some interesting questions there. Keep them coming, and we'll get back to answer some of our Emirates fans' questions next week. Right, it's been a while since I spoke to you last, and since then the Women's Rugby World Cup is taking place in New Zealand, and there's been a few talking points, so let's have a look at a couple of them. And let's start with this one. Scotland versus Australia, direct contact to the head, Adiana Talaki. So what you have here is a referee deeming that the offence itself is a yellow card, which is probably the right decision. But because she was yellow carded earlier on in the game, you then land up with a second yellow, which becomes a red. So good decision and good outcome. Canada, USA, deliberate knock on. Now these have become a little bit of a sticking point, a talking point in a lot of games. Now there's two things to remember here. Going for interception maybe with one hand, getting it completely wrong, and you weren't in a realistic position to regather the ball, that will deem then to be a deliberate knock on. Even though you don't actually deliberately knock it on, it'll deem to be a penalty. And if the referee thinks it's a yellow card because of position on the field, overlaps maybe, potentially try, probably being scored, then it'll get up to a yellow card for a deliberate knock on. and also a penalty try if they thought a try would have probably been scored. So those are the ones which are a little bit more difficult, because you've got to determine, did the player have a realistic opportunity to regather the ball? And if the answer is, well, yes, they did, but they were unlucky, they get it wrong, then it becomes just a scrum. If they get it wrong, had no opportunity to regather the ball, then it becomes a penalty. And if you look at this tackle, it's not a natural tackling technique. The hand is left out here, and by doing that then they are looking or guessing where the ball is, and this action then prevents the pass. So what they're trying to do here, what players are trying to do, is try to make it look like a tackle, but also knowing I'm going to stop them getting that ball away. That then becomes a little bit more straightforward to the referee, because if it's not a natural tackle action, then it becomes a deliberate knock-on, like in this instance here. So, good decision, deliberate knock-on. So, Japan versus Italy, Imakugi, yellow card. The defender is static here, so you have like a head-on-head contact. The player is upright. But what you don't have is somebody going forward, so you're leading with a head with a high degree of danger, because you are going to make sort of a maybe defensive static tackle, on even maybe sort of going backwards in it. The fact that the head then makes contact is deemed to be a low degree of danger, because you're not sort of charging into the tackle, you're actually upright and static. That then becomes foul play, and because it's a low degree of danger, we then land up with a yellow card. If it was deemed to be a high degree of danger, which usually happens when you're charging in upright and your head is coming forward with force, and then you make contact, then that would become a red card. So good decision, good outcome. Wales, Australia, Caitlin Leaney, yellow card, shoulder to the head, neck area. Now, what you have here is mitigation applied. So you don't have an illegal act by the tackler, just the fact that it's high and there's contact to the head. So what we mean by that is, you're not leading with the shoulder, your arm is not tucked down, you're not leading with a forearm to the face, you're actually doing a legal action. So as you're making the tackle, you are making everything legal as you would in the tackle. But what she gets wrong is the height. Now the Welsh player is coming down slightly, the tackler is also coming down slightly, and that's where they have put the mitigation into it. And then they've come from a red to a yellow. If there was no mitigation, then it would be staying at a red card. So this one is down to a yellow card, but it's a very close one. Could well have gone the other way too. That's it for Whistle Watch. Thanks for watching. Good luck to all the teams in the quarterfinals. Now let's reveal my ones to watch. Let's have a look at England's Claudia MacDonald. Nearly had to retire due to a neck injury she sustained last autumn, but has scored 4 tries and still counting in this year's Rugby World Cup. And they face Australia in the quarterfinals. That should be some game, and she certainly is one to watch. South Africa, Eben Etzebeth, 30 years of age, over 100 caps for South Africa. He really now is hitting top form. Has always been a great player, but he really now seems to be key to the success of the South African side. Wales, Tommy Raphael, quite new to the squad, man of the match in Wales' first ever win in South Africa. He'll be hoping to build on his international career and cement his place in a very competitive back row for Wales. New Zealand, Aisha Letiaga, I hope I said your name right there, Aisha, marked her return with a try against Scotland. Now she has the ability to create something special out of nothing, very similar to what Shane Williams used to be able to do. Wales face her and New Zealand in the quarterfinal. That's going to be a tough one, but good luck. Ireland, now then. Keep an eye out for Josh van der Fleer. He really is hitting top form in a very, very good Irish side at the moment. So keep an eye out for him. It's been a pleasure to welcome you back to the farm for Whistle Watch. Cows are not quite in, but by the time you're back next week, they may well be. Keep your questions coming in. Plenty of rugby to come over the next few weeks. See you soon.